Well, this has been quite a week. We're getting into heavy duty stuff, everybody, and I'm going to also tell you what I've been going through when we get to a certain point in one of the chapters, because children and parents, I'm discovering, do you all know the term jihad al-nafs? Kids, have you heard of that? The word jihad means effort. And you remember the Blessed Prophet came from a war, and he said, we came from the smaller, the lesser struggle, jihad, to the greater one. And the greater one is dealing with all these qualities that Al-Ghazali is talking about, that our nafs wants to do the lower, more self-interested, self-centered. It's not necessarily full of mercy and compassion every minute, which is our true nature. And so this jihad al-nafs means we're learning through Imam al-Ghazali and through our parents and school and teachers to be watching ourselves. That's why we do the heart and correcting ourselves. And guess what, everybody? We're on a journey together. Let's say we're heroes and heroines and we're setting out on our life journey, and we have to conquer all the dragons. And that's what we're doing together. And may I tell you something? Guess what? That's what life is about. It's really not about just getting stuff and more stuff and entertaining ourselves and having children. All of that is fun, and that makes the world move. But what's really going on is getting from where you are this minute to clearing away any junk from your beautiful golden heart so you can see more clearly. There's an image I'd like to share with you. If you have a pool of water, and here's a tree next to it, and the pool is very still, you see a perfect reflection of the tree. Haven't you ever noticed that? Perfectly reflected. Now, if the little pool has waves on it from wind and it's disturbed and agitated, here's the tree. What does the reflection of the tree look like? Anybody in a pool full of waves? Would someone answer that, please? Okay, all right, Ahmed Jazar, go ahead.
The reflection of the tree would look blurry, and it would like shake all around because the pool's not still, and then you won't get it perfect. You won't see it perfectly.
That's right. And Alpern, you were going to say something too?
Maybe the tree would look longer. Longer. Maybe because of the reflection.
Yeah. And then what if there's waves all over the pond? Does the reflection look like the tree? What does it look like?
It would look like how Ahmed said, maybe like blurry.
That's right. It'd be all broken up, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be a true reflection of the tree, would it? Well, this is important to understand, because your mind and your heart, in order to be clear, needs to be calm. You have to be with yourself. And if you have lots of agitation in your mind, or maybe you stole a pencil, or maybe you're upset about losing your iPhone, all of those things put waves on your state of being. And say you have a bunch of waves in your mind and you go out and you see somebody at school. Are you seeing them clearly? Or are you seeing them not true to who they are? Because you bring with it ideas of who they are. You bring images to it. You have your own story. And then you look at something, and can you see it for what it really is? Or is it untrue what you're seeing?
I would like to say one thing, especially kids when they are too busy with their screens, either iPad, iPhone, with their games, like they are so busy. Like when they look at social media, they switch from one video or one picture to another one, like in milliseconds. So are so busy. I'm sorry, their minds are so busy with their screens. It's not easy them to focus. I think this is also another distraction our kids have in their life.
Yeah, and maybe, let's say, maybe you are a child whose parents got divorced, right? And you're angry about it. And you're in your heart, you're upset and angry, and you don't let it go, So then you're basically want to get that anger out. You know, when you're angry, you want to scream or something. So then let's say someone does something little, like they move your book somewhere and you can't find it. And suddenly you're bursting with anger because all this, because anger is trying to get out. And, you know, little things in your life will build up. You may see, let's say, a video about a certain subject, 2 or 3 videos, and then you think that's the ultimate reality. And then you take those ideas and you judge other ideas with them. You have to be very careful, you know, what's coming into our minds, our screens. Our minds are like blank screens, and then they get filled up with things. So part of what we're going to be looking at with the Ghazali is really to really learn about all the ways we can get agitated waves on our hearts and not perceive life correctly. You know, I mean, if you are somebody, you did the wonderful video, I'm sure you've all seen it, about envy and jealousy, you know, wanting what someone else has, right? That's going on in very subtly in all of us, adults and children. You know, you think, oh, I wish I had that circumstance or that situation, or if only. And the problem with all that is that we know that Allah sends us exactly what we need. And then if we're wanting something different, we're not showing gratitude for what he's given, and what he gives us is what we need to grow. Maybe I have a friend, who's really upset all the time. Her husband died and she's in isolation and she's so lonely, and she's totally focused on her loneliness and the COVID. She could take that Allah has given her in order to practice patience, and she could do other things with that emptiness. She could go out and be generous to people, and go out and help people in let's say a old age home. She could take that space and turn it around. We shouldn't sink when we get trials, and each of your trials will be different, but they're all trials that are sent particularly to you. They're tailor-made, and these are your opportunities to switch to the opposite. You know, for example, let's just look at loving to eat lots of sweets and chocolate and goodies, indulging yourself in chocolate. I mean, I have a cabinet over there by the coffee maker where I have really good chocolate bars, the kind where it's dark chocolate with orange essence inside. And every so often I feel, oh, I've got to go, because I'm looking to be satisfied. I'm working and I'm frustrated and things are not coming out and my papers are all messed up and I'm getting scared, and all of a sudden the solution is the chocolate, right? So I go, and of course, for one moment I feel, it's delicious, I'm satisfied, but then I'm back to me. And a wonderful Muslim wrote that, well, this is talking about gluttony. I enjoy food, but many of you probably don't. I mean, that we're looking in food and chocolate and goodies and other luxuries. You know, maybe it's even more videos to watch. You know, we're trying to find in sensual things a satisfaction, but that thing Allah gave us, looking to be content, looking to be satisfied, we're taking it toward matter, toward food and videos and iPhone games. And it was that force Allah gave us should be directed to finding our satisfaction, our contentment in him, you know, in our hearts, in our fitra. We're looking for this place we'll be at peace in the wrong place. We think if we find it in the stuff, in the data, but all of that is impermanent. Nothing lasts, you know, no pleasure lasts for very long. You know, people go shopping thinking, boy, it's fun, I'll go out and buy more stuff, and it feels good and it's fun. Sometimes I just think, well, I'll go buy some stuff. And there's a temporary satisfaction. I've got a new dress or a new comb, or I don't know what it is, but that's really impermanent. That stuff doesn't hold. The only stuff that will hold for you all is to really make a difference in your hearts. All right. So this was a long preamble here. So what chapter should we work on first, everybody?
20.
20. Is that everybody's into 20? I'm open to 20. All right. This is the story about the little gardens inside the garden. Could any of you tell what that is? I mean, you all have read the chapter, right? Could anyone discuss this? What are these little gardens? Did you do the workbook pages? It would help you. You could go to your workbook for the answers. See, it'll really, oh yes, I see somebody, a hand up. Yes? Yes.
I think it's like heavens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, little gardens. Mm-hmm. And how can we, the big garden is heaven, but where can we find little gardens in our lives? Yes.
It's like when people talk about Allah.
Perfect. He's got it. You're really bright, Ermine. Yeah. It's when they get together, like right now, all of you, you've taken your time. It's a Sunday morning. You could be doing other things. You could be, watching videos. But guess what? Would watching a video or playing on an ice screen, would that be one of the gardens of remembrance? No. But we here together, believe it or not, I'm going to tell you something. Imam al-Ghazali mentioned that the prophet said that Allah, listen to this, everybody. This is really cool. Allah has angels wayfaring through the sky, other than the angels that watch over humankind. When these angels see people gathering, that's us, for remembrance, they call out to one another saying, hasten to your heart's desire. And then they surround this group and lower their wings over them and listen. Guess what, everybody? We've got a bunch of angels lowering their wings around us listening, because we're making an effort. We're remembering who we really are and remembering Allah. So that's a big deal. You see what I mean? Don't you? Maybe some of you could do some drawings after class, just a little drawing of all of us, maybe our screens, right? But we're together in the circle, and then have a bunch of angels flying around and listening to us. You should do that, because it'll make you remember that when you sit with your family, there are different kinds of people. They may sit around together and take their sibha, their prayer beads, and say la ilaha illallah, or even sit and discuss. It's so much more fun discussing what we're discussing. There are all these people today who have nothing to do but talk about politics and what's going on in Washington, D.C. In England, whenever you meet somebody and they're new, you don't know what to talk about. So you talk about the weather. Oh, even today I asked you all about the weather, didn't I? But it's because something we have in common. And I listen to all of my friends, and all they're doing is talking about the elections and what's happening in Washington. Ad infinitum. I find that so boring. It's influx at all times. You don't quite know all the pieces. You can't know the truth about it. But when we talk about things like what we're talking about, this is real and true and matters, and it's our own hearts, and it's the journey we're on, and it's something we're all doing together. And this is much more fun, don't you? So I hope you find this a little bit fun. All right. So the next chapter, chapter 21, she said, how can you watch your very own hearts? Well, Al-Ghazali is going to give us a map. This chapter 21 is going to tell you the whole thing. I'd like everybody, if they have their books, to turn to page 120, and you're going to see what we're going to be doing. At the bottom of 120, I'm going to read it to you. Grandmother Aisha nodded. They say, dear grandchildren, you're so bright and good. The idea of keeping a dot list, drawing up, having your heart and keep putting dots on it will help you polish your special hearts, and it'll make it easier for you to polish off the dust. New kinds of dust will come. We are always being tested in life. Like your story on the envy and the jealousy, that was a test. He came in and he envied the having the iPhone. He was unhappy with his old one. My husband has a clamshell, by the way. Okay. He's crying. So, anyway, so you're going to have hearts that you keep up. I want everyone to make a big golden heart, hang it in their bedroom, and keep your list, because this is what we're going to be doing. All right. Then grandmother said, let's watch and clean our hearts together every day. What a wonderful and even enjoyable efforts this is that we get to do. So we just make sure we cover all the bases. Here is a list. Okay, get ready, everybody. Here is a list of the 10 bad things for the heart that Ghazali warns us about, and I want you to watch out for. And grandmother wrote them on a piece of paper where all the children could see them. So I want you each to make a list like this, because it will help you to be on guard, and put it near your heart drawing. All right. The first one is envy. And we saw the wonderful video produced. Did everyone see the video? Did everyone see it? All the other children, have they seen it, Khaldun?
I shared to the group.
Yeah.
I don't know if they watched it, but I shared to the group.
All right. You should watch it, everybody. They took the first one, envy. And the next one is lying. All right. Every so often we subtly lie, don't we? Okay, when that happens, rush to put a dot on your heart. So you're looking at your heart. You can write on your own thing, what you did, or you may know about it. The next is, and I think another thing that includes lying is stealing, if you think about it, because there's something untrue going on there and wrong. And it's so easy to just sort of steal something, right? For example, sometime I'm at the bank and they have a lot of ballpoint pens, right? And, I always need an extra pen in my purse. I lose as many as and so one time I actually took the pen I was doing my check with and put it in my purse. I didn't just do it absent-mindedly. I thought, I'm just going to take this pen, and I felt bad about it because I knew I was doing it. We know what we're doing. Even if we lie, don't tell the full truth, to your mother about something. You feel it, don't you? Don't you all feel it if you don't tell the truth? How can you not? And I'm going to tell you a story about this is, I teach world religions because I love all the people throughout the whole world. Remember, Allah says in the Quran, we have sent to all people at all times religion in their language, in the way they can understand it in their culture. Allah doesn't leave people out. He doesn't give only us the true and forget about everyone else. He wouldn't be merciful. So I once went to Harvard University, to the medical college, and the Dalai Lama was there giving a talk about health. And this was 1989, before the Dalai Lama was a big deal. All right. And we were there, and it became his turn to talk about disease, getting sick. All right. And everybody, everyone gets sick. And he said, disease, it's dis-ease. No ease, it's a stress. He said, we all, he said, I'm not talking about being inwardly sick, this dis-ease from the kind of stress like I lost my job, I've lost my iPhone, that you stress out on, right? The stress of, I'm not getting invited to a party, the stress of we can't go out to play, all of this. He said, that's not the stress we're talking about. I'll tell you where you all really stress out. All of us, is that we have inside of us our fitra, our pure golden hearts. Every one of, we're calling it golden heart, but it's also called the fitra in Arabic, your primordial pure nature. And other traditions, in the Christians call it the Christ nature, the Buddhists call it the Buddha nature, the Jews call it Adama, like Adam, the Hindus call it the greater self. Every tradition has a name because it's universal. Every human being is pure and good and at peace. Would you like to say, Ahmed, something? Are you raising your hand?
No, I'm not raising my hand.
Oh, okay. You're just stretching. Okay. So the Dalai Lama said, we all have a sense of what is true for us. Even I feel stressed when I'm not even eating or exercising correctly. If I eat bad, or drink lots of soft drinks, or don't do, that's even because there's a place in me that knows there's a certain place that I should be with eating and exercise. But there's another place we have to be. And that's what your golden hearts are about. You want to be with all these things Ghazali is telling us about. You don't want to be doing them. And when you do it, you stress out. You can feel it. The second you maybe don't tell the truth, you feel it. Why do you feel it? It's because you are a pure golden heart. And when it's not true to itself, it's putting ripples on your calm lake. There's agitation. So Ghazali mentions you shouldn't envy, you shouldn't lie, you shouldn't have pride, you shouldn't be all puffed up and I'm the one who knows and showing off, right? You shouldn't be a know-it-all, the one who knows that all this is me, me, me. I know it all. And that's what was Ghazali's problem with his life. He realized he was a know-it-all and a show-off. And not only that, he argued, and we can't argue either, because all those things, arguing and showing off, that's building up the nafs, the lower nafs. And remember, we're talking about, we're in the jihad al-nafs, we're making an effort to do something about the lower self. Do you think that lower self is our real heart? It's not. Our real heart is pure goodness. Our real heart doesn't envy and doesn't lie and isn't proud. It's humble and sweet. And it's not a know-it-all showing off. Do you like people who are show-offs and know-it-alls? Do you like those kind of people? Speak up, kids. No, you don't. It's
No.
very horrible. When you hear people angry, do you like people who are really angry and arguing? Do you like to hear that going on? No. All of those things, and people do it. They brag and they gossip and they argue and they spy on each other and they're envious. We don't like those kind of people, do we? Right? What kind of people do we like? I mean, I used to, when I lived in Cairo, I liked people who were really smart and could talk about philosophy. And then there was this sweet lady that didn't know anything. She wasn't very bright, but she would come and she'd be sweet and she'd come to the house and bring a little vegetables or something. And she was so kind and nice. I really loved her. I liked her better than all the big time show off professors I hung out with, because she was really a golden heart. And so we all want to be liked. None of us we all like being liked. And people do things so that people will like them. The best thing you can do to be loved is to be your own good spiritual heart. It's to somehow resist not showing off. And I show off, sometimes I'm with people and I talk about some of the important people I know and the books I've read and who I studied with, who are big time. Why am I doing that? Because I think maybe they'll like me better, or that I have so little sense of being a golden heart. I have such low self-esteem. I have to show off. Don't do it. And you all are lucky to get on this program as young as you are. Most of us don't realize about the golden heart and fixing it up until we're 20, 30, 40. And we're already into millions of bad habits with ourselves. So you all are really lucky. And Ghazali says also wasting our time. Ha ha. I mean, Haldun was talking about the endless hours on the video. And so we'll get to the chapter about that too. All right. Backbiting, we know we shouldn't gossip. And it's like eating that person's dead flesh if you talk badly about them. Don't do it. And these ideas, if we talk about them and you get to know them and think about them and become more aware of them and understand how easy it is to be doing them, hopefully you all will suddenly, if you're about to say something bad about somebody, they say, bite your tongue, just hold your lips close. You don't have to tattle on people. There's every so often where you have to report something that's bad, that's going on, that's dangerous, right? But we're talking about the low level talking about people. Bragging, hypocrisy. Do any of you know what a hypocrisy is? It's called nifaq in Islam, and it's considered like really one of the worst things you can do. Would anyone can you know what that word means? It's a big word, hypocrisy. Does anyone know what it is? Would Father Khaldun like to tell them?
I mean, Ahmed, just say it.
Oh,
Ahmed,
I couldn't hear it, Ahmed. Your
Yeah.
your video
No,
is
I'm sorry. I just tell like the kids that like when one day want to answer, they raise their hands, but they should just unmute and say. I think it's more
yes,
practical.
unmute and say. Unmute and say.
Yes, Ahmed.
Maybe they should just all unmute. They're not going to be. What do you think?
Okay,
Uh,
what was the question again?
What is hypocrisy? It's a very big word. Do you know what it means?
It's when you say something, but you do something, you do opposite of what you're saying.
That's right. That's right. And that's why Imam al-Ghazali walked out of his top rate position at that college, because he was telling everybody, don't be proud, right? I'm telling you all, don't be proud. But if I go off having told you this and I'm proud, I'm a hypocrite. I'm pretending to be something that I'm not. And this is really bad. Can you think some of the reasons it's really bad? Can anyone think of anything what's so bad about that? That's a hard question, actually.
When you believe in something but do something else, say something else, you don't look like yourself. So like, I mean, it's seeding root of being munafiq, actually.
Yes, it's
That's
munafiq.
why it's terrible.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you see somebody smiling and being so sweet, and behind they're hating, you know, it's a cover-up job. And this is a big deal, and you're going to be watching it your whole life. And lastly, Ghazali says you shouldn't pry or spy, prying, trying to find out stuff about other people. A lady could go to her friends and say, what's happening to so-and-so's children? Prying, trying to find out gossipy stuff, or spying on people, seeing what they're doing, going in and reading their diaries, invading their privacy, something you wouldn't want. We can't do that. And then the 10th thing he talks about is arguing. I bet everybody argues in this room, right? Don't we all argue? Well, when you get to how Ghazali explains about arguing, you'll be fascinating, because we don't like to listen to people arguing, do we? It stresses me out when I hear people arguing, because it's not very peaceful, is it? It's not the way to solve an issue, to argue about it. But Imam al-Ghazali, and we'll read this later, he says, if you were arguing with somebody and you suddenly realize, oh, I'm arguing, and you stop, there are many rewards for that. But if you're right in the argument, right, you really do know the truth and you want to win out, if you're right and you just shut your mouth and stop arguing, I mean, it's like the amount of rewards. It's like getting a palace in heaven for that moment. And because why shouldn't we be arguing? Because it's strengthening the nafs, the lower self. Me, I'm right, you're wrong. You are having to strengthen. There's no humility, no sweetness in you. It's I've got to win. And those kind of people, I hate to tell you, they feel inferior and they're trying to push themselves up to the top. It's and everybody's doing it, but you're not going to be doing it. You're going to start catching yourself. You see people doing it all around you, and you don't judge them. We're not into judging others. We're judging ourselves, right? And by judging ourselves, if you stop arguing, you're modeling something really good. You're teaching other people. He's not going to do the arguing. He's just silent and sweet, and particularly in Ramadan, imagine using your mouth, which you rinse when you're doing the wudu, and you say to Allah when you wash your mouth during wudu, Ya Allah, prevent me from saying wrong things and guide me to say beautiful things. Well, it's the same in Ramadan. When you're fasting, your mouth fasts too. You don't start saying bad things or arguing. If you do, you've broken your fast, according to Imam al-Ghazali. Not your physical fast of the water and the food, but how can you be going out using your beautiful mouth that was given to you to say Quran and say beautiful things and say, you know, Bismillah and say Allahu Akbar? How can you use that? And that's some of the reasons they give in Cairo that you shouldn't smoke cigarettes. You know, most of us don't smoke anymore, but many people did. But I mean, I'm just saying that this thing too about arguing, you all are going to be arguing with your parents all the time. You said we were going to do this, you know, you promised. Why didn't you let me blah, blah, blah? Let me watch videos for 100 hours a day. Kids, don't do it, you know. Find a way to be peaceful. So these are the 10 things that Imam al-Ghazali is telling us in book 20. Oh, it's book 20? 20 is a very big deal. Al-Ghazali wrote 40 books. The one, and we're studying book one right now. Why 40? 40 is a very special number. The prophet Moses was in the desert for 40 years. Jesus was in a garden asking God's guidance and forgiveness 40 days. 40 is a very big deal. And Imam al-Ghazali made 40 books. And in his version, on each page, he wrote 40 lines. Can you imagine this? 40, this is amazing. And this is profound. You need to know this. 40 is the symbolizes the death of the old you and the reintegration into what is true. It's the death of old you, right? So the book 20 of the 40 books of Ghazali's wonderful revival of religious sciences is about the qualities of the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. He is the pivot of the center that's holding up the 40. So it's interesting to me, in book 20 here, al-Ghazali is laying out the whole thing, everything we can't do. And then we're going to go into each one by one, and be honest and talk about it. I have a class with teenagers that live in Dubai and London, and we found a way to do it. We do it early in the morning, every other week. And I know these teenagers, and they read the chapter carefully, and they do the workbook, and they keep their hearts. And what we do is we're really honest. There's no point in us just having lectures and saying, you should do this and blah, blah, blah. If we can't be honest and really talk about how we're doing with it as friends. And this will be valuable for all of us. Each time I talk to you, I'm talking to myself, I'm learning something. Just because I'm older doesn't make me any better than anyone else. You know, we all are facing these problems. And so what's great, kids, is that you all are learning what they all are right now at the beginning of your life, and you'll be able to work with them. Before we go on to the next chapter, did we ever talk about good thoughts and bad thoughts? Did we talk about that in the time we've been together? I'm going to jump to this because it's going to be helpful to you all with what we're trying to do. Yes. Yes, Khaldun.
Yes, I mean, the last time, I mean, you just mentioned.
Okay, I just want to, because you're going to need this tool. You need tools. This is a toolbox to dismantle your lower self, the egoic, me, it's for me, everything. It's you're the star of a movie, right? Okay, here is something Ghazali said. And forgive me if you've heard me tell the story, but it bears repeating. He said, the good thoughts are the angels. Didn't we talk about the angels coming into your heart house last time? Maybe we haven't gotten to the heart house yet. You know, there's so much stuff. I'm sorry to be disorganized. It doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you the story. When you have, your heart is full of angels when you're sitting at peace. Okay, we're all sitting at peace. None of us are bragging or envious right now. Right now, we're all present together. And angels are happily in our heart house. If we have horrible thoughts, these are like barking dogs, and the angels get scared away. Say, I have a thought. Well, I don't even want to have a horrible thought, but I could, okay? I could think about somebody I'm really annoyed with. They're always late to meetings. I'm never late. Why are they late? And I can get right into it. The broken record of that person always does this and it really annoys me, right? So the angels just left, right? They don't want to be around that kind of situation. So Ghazali says that when you have a good thought, like one of you may decide today, I'm not going to argue with mother when she says, come to dinner or don't watch TV or whatever it is. So when you have, when the thought comes, like, let's say you have if you have a good thought, like, I'm going to get up and help mother set the table for dinner. The second you have that good thought, Imam al-Ghazali says, act on it immediately, because the nafs is so sneaky. It'll come in and it'll whisper, waswisu. It'll say, you know, don't help mother, just keep watching TV, right? And you keep having these thoughts. You will have good thoughts, and then immediately something will prevent you doing it. So Imam al-Ghazali says, when you have a good thought, do it immediately. And I think maybe I told you the story that once I had a friend in England. He was named Hassan Gay Eaton. He was a great Muslim. He served the main mosque in London, a great writer from Cambridge. His books on Islam changed England. I mean, he was an amazing man. And he was getting older and older. And I'd visit him when I was back in England. And, you know, because he was older and an old friend. And then I was back here in America and I had this thought, call Gay Eaton. And I looked at my watch and I thought, oh, it's too late. England is 5 hours ahead. I'll do it tomorrow, right? The next day I had the thought, call Gay Eaton. And I thought to myself, oh, he'll talk a long time. I'll do it tomorrow. And the next day when I called him, he had just died. So those good thoughts that come to you are angelic, right? We're all connected through little invisible rays of light. Sometimes you're thinking of somebody and they phone you up. Have you ever had that experience, Khaldun? You're thinking of someone and they call you.
I had just the same thing. There's a famous professor, and I love him a lot. He was 95 years old. He's a famous historian, Turkish.
Oh.
And just the same thing happened to me. He lives in Wisconsin, and I was planning to call him, but I just ignored.
That makes me cry.
Then like we had the news, and he passed away. I feel so sorry about just.
I'm crying about this now because I'll tell you, children, it's not just not calling somebody and they die. This connection is going on all the time. The angels are bringing little invisible lines of thoughts. And now, ever since this happened, it used to be you're thinking and you have lots of thoughts. And there's a thought, you know, go get a cookie. There's a thought, oh, where's my watch? And all of a sudden, there's thought like, help mother. And it used to be all those thoughts for me were just like little clouds. Now, if I have a good thought, you know what happens? It has a big yellow line around it, like bright yellow, like the kind where the bands you wear so they don't run into you when you're on your bike in the rain. Huge yellow line. And it's good thought, good thought. So now I'm afraid not to do it, right? I'm driving along and, you know, we have nursing homes. It's very sad. People put their parents away in old homes. Driving and think, oh my gosh, I should go in and see so-and-so. I'm afraid not to, you know, and what I'm just telling you is a real tool. You're now going to be aware. I've just had a good thought. I knew a boy who told me, he said, I was on my computer and I could hear my mother coming up the stairs, bringing all the groceries in. He said, I had the thought, oh, I should go give her a hand, this teenager. And then he just thought, no, I won't. And then he said he's learned a new technique. When he has the good thought, he doesn't want to do it. He says to himself, that's the real self talking to your lower self. Push on through, push on through. So if you have a good thought and think, think, push on through, push on through. And you know what will happen? Everything is habits. Slowly, you will start changing your habits, you know, bit by bit. You know, it'll take less time. You have a good thought, you just start to do it. Maybe you'll right now you'll do a few of them and maybe a little more, but everything is habit. And that's what the Sunnah is. It's a series of incredible habits. When I go to the Middle East, when I'm in Cairo, and I go to visit somebody who's very poor, and their first thought is, serve me their best. They bring out their very best, you know, their best soup that they've just made, and they have nothing. And you think, why are those people better than us here in America? Are they better? No, they are pure people, but they are copying the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. And they've copied him so much that it's become second nature. They don't even think about, oh, I'm going to keep the best cookies for myself, right? It's natural, because the sunnah, if you keep copying and imitating the prophet over and over, finally it starts to become the way you are, you know? So that's why we're learning. And what Imam al-Ghazali is teaching us is not just the outer ways we copy the sunnah, but the inner ways. Like Muhammad's, peace and blessings be upon him, said, a person who backbites during Ramadan has broken the fast. It's not just the mouth not having food, it's the mouth saying bad things. So what we are learning is, we are learning with this thing we're doing together, the inner sunnah. It's easy to, the outer sunnah you're going to learn. Your parents are going to say, do this, do that. We break the fast with dates. We do this, we do that. And then you travel all over the Muslim world, and you go to Singapore, and you go to Indonesia, meet the Muslims. You walk into a house, they're a different country, a different culture. Guess what? You're at home, because they're doing the same thing you are. They're all copying. As a Muslim, going to visit the Muslims in Japan and all over the world, you get it, because it's not some weird, many cultures, you go to France and you sit with French people, or you go to wherever, or Tibet, it's a little odd. They're doing something, you don't even know what it is. You don't know what their manners are different. What is important, what you say is different. But with the Muslim world, it's the same, because we're following the same model. So even this thing about your good thoughts, and next week, now write this down after we hang up. I want everybody to report 3 good thoughts they acted on and 3 good thoughts they blew it. Okay, that's your homework. Does everyone understand this? This is fun. By the way, you think this is not fun? This is fun. Your religion is fun, and this is real. It's not just something that you do for an hour and it was delicious. You ate that, you went to the party, and now you're back. You'd look forward to it. Now it's over. This is permanent, doing something that's real, and we're doing it all together. I feel like I've just given this hyper lecture, and I wish I hadn't done it, but this is really key, because we're talking about the groundwork of having fun and getting to know ourselves and becoming friends with ourselves too,
So
Any comments?
what do you think about like giving the homework, like for example, kids and us, like to give away something which we like the most to someone else, to someone else?
Yeah, it's hard. Can you do it? Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
even
hard.
though like it's a small thing, just to give away, and maybe all of us, we can share next week when we come.
Yes, that's another thing. Just try it and see how you feel afterward. All right. Because the nafs, the lower nafs, is saying, give something I don't play with anymore, that I don't even like, that I was going to give away anyway. No, give something that you like, that's going to be, and see how you feel after. We're all going to do it. I'm going to do it too. Well, I did it once, and I still miss what I gave away. There's a Tibetan monastery here in Louisville, really lovely monks, right? And when I went to Tibet and visited the Tibetan Muslims, who are fabulous, in Tibet, they had in their souk, in their marketplace, they had these beautiful silk shawls that they put around them with a color you can't get, you've never seen before. It's like a pink, red, purple. It was a color that they dyed from some plant. And I bought this, and it was so beautiful. And every so often I'm going out and I'm wearing something black, and I'd wrap it around me because it was so beautiful. I couldn't even stand it. And I was at an interfaith gathering, with people of different traditions. We have that in Louisville. We do interfaith programs. We bring people of all the faith traditions together to talk and love each other. And there was this monk, very short, kind of round cheeked, and he's the head of their little monastery. very good soul. They have very little. And I looked at his shawl that he had around him, and it was that red color, you know, but it was modern. It wasn't the real thing. And I don't know where he got it. And I got this in Lhasa in Tibet, and I adored it. And I went over to him, makes me cry. And I did it. I put it around his shoulders. And every so often I'm driving past that monastery and I think, oh, I wish I had that back. But you know what? I know I gave my best. I know it, right? And I think he knew it too. He, you know, he got something. He knew its quality, you know, and he saw that I gave something that was that great. So you also will learn a lot. It's not, you don't lose anything by giving. You find a place in yourself that can be complete and whole and give generously. So thank you for that suggestion. So we've got our lists of good thoughts, bad thoughts, and we've got giving something we love away. And you know what? I'm going to do it today. I'm going to go find something that I love and I'm going to give it. Are we all going to do that? All right. So let's see. How much more time do we have? We only have 10 minutes left. So of course, I never know where the thing is in my workbook or the books. Or, I just wanted to show you all a piece of art. Maybe it's in the book. No. Here it is. It's in the workbook. It's in the workbook for, oh, ahead for chapter 23. Look at this, everybody. Can you see it? I don't know whether you can see it well, but you've got your workbooks. We have here the golden heart, and it's going on the road through life. Up here, it's shining in sun, all right? And these things are trying to waylay you. Here is, down here is backbiting. These are horrible looking. Here is pride. Here is bragging. Here is arguing. Here is hypocrisy. I mean, just look at how horrible these little figures are. They're lurking. It says, as a pure little shining heart goes up the path of life, what kinds of bad things are trying to ruin your journey? All right. So just keep this in mind, because what we're attempting to do is to get to know these things that are trying to waylay you, because sometimes they're hard to see. You don't even notice it about yourself. You know, and yeah, you all have been doing envy. I think I want to share something with you all that I've just been through. Okay. You know, here I am talking all the time about envy and pride and arguing and all the rest of it, right? And I still do it. You know, I know about it. I guess I'm a hypocrite, you know. But, you know, I so much of it is just very subtle in the mind and I don't catch it, you know. So I recently took online, that's why I couldn't be at the class last Sunday. I took a course on, it's called mindfulness meditation. It cost a lot of money. And I did it because I wanted to have a tool, another support for what we're doing here. And it was coming from Tibet House, and it was using a Tibetan model. But, you know, the human mind is the same, no matter what tradition you're from. And we had to read a book called Getting Rid of Daydreaming, you know, because we're always in a daydream. We're thinking of this, and then suddenly we're thinking of that. We're doing that, and suddenly we're thinking of that. We're just lost in our daydreams. And the whole point of this course, it's to become a teacher. I'm not going to teach this, but I thought if I had to become a teacher, I would understand something, because you can't teach something if you don't understand it. And so what happened was they have a big circle like this, and it's divided up into 6 levels, and it's surrounded by the Lord of Death, like the angel of death, right? And all of these 6 realms are different places our mind is going all the time. You know, very subtly, it slides from this to this. So we had to talk about what's in each realm and how we get rid of it. And the first realm, where your mind can be, is everything's okay, right? All of us are okay. We all have homes. We have beautiful homes. We have good parents. We have enough to eat. We're not right now being bombed in Syria. You know, we're not like the people in India with COVID who have no place to go. The Indonesian earthquake that just happened, and all those hospitals in Sulawesi with COVID people went down, and the remaining people now are in tents close together, probably without masks. We don't have that. For one moment, right this minute, all of us, we're okay. We're in an incredible happiness. Do you all notice you're all okay? Yeah, but that is deceiving, because at any moment we could get some bad news, right? It's not permanent. We think it's permanent, but anyone could become sick. We could lose someone in our family that we love. We could have a dear friend die. We could die ourselves. This sense of being everything is all right, we have to sometimes think about, if I only had 1 week to live, what would I do in that week? If I only had today to live, everybody, what would you not do, and what would you do? It's something to think about, isn't it? And I think of lots of things I wouldn't do. You know, I would actually just be with my children and grandchildren, just hanging out in a big heap, maybe watching a video together, maybe playing a game, just being loving. You know, I would also, if I only had today left, if I've wronged anybody, I'd ask for their forgiveness. I don't want to die. If I'd borrowed anything, I'd returned it. But it's interesting how we're counting on this state of bliss we're in lasting, but we have to really be aware of how fragile everything is and what a gift it is from Allah. You know, we have to be filled with alhamdulillah. And the next realm is where you don't have a lot of self-confidence and you're competitive. You know, you're trying to win everything. Maybe you're a businessman and you're out competing. I lost my glasses here because I brought it here. You know, you feel insecure, and this causes you to envy other people, and pride and low self-esteem and being self-centered, and you're not compassionate. You're not really thinking of being thoughtful and warm and merciful to other people. It's very self-centered. And next time you find yourself, you know, for example, having pride or envy, notice in that state, there is no love of the other. You know, it's just condensing your nafs, you know. And the one thing you can do is you can sit and think of somebody that you're upset with or you don't like, and you can just, you know, or that is suffering, somebody who's suffering, and you can just breathe in all their suffering. And then as you breathe out, just breathe love to them. You know, you have to find ways that people that annoy you, think of ways to love them, because nobody's all bad. Everybody has annoying things, but get into the whole process of really loving the other rather than profiting from them and competing with them and winning out. Find a way to think about them and let go of those things and experience love. And then the next mental state we can be in is the human one, which we're in, where we can improve. We can take a course on Ghazali. We can know that we have some work to do, and we can become more sympathetic, and we can be kind to people. This is an amazing state. They say in Islam, the most precious thing is to be a human. You know, we weren't born, our state of being wasn't born as an ant or lion. We were born as a human. So we actually have the possibility of emptying away all the bad stuff and coming to know and love God, right? And so one of the things we have to do is we have to be aware of all these great possibilities. And then there's the animal realm. I look out the window at the birds. The animals are basically trying to find food and trying to keep from getting eaten. Their whole thing is, you know, get enough, eat. Look at a dog, you know, you hold up a cookie and their focus is, oh yeah. And then everything is trying to avoid being something happening to it. And a lot of our life, we're just thinking about how, you know, we can, you know, we don't have a wide view. We're all hung up in a, oh, this is the animals. They're totally in their sense perceptions and they're not mindful, right? And they're stuck in their own thing. Then the next level is one in which you satisfy all your cravings, you know, all your things, all your desires, everything. You're totally involved in it. And instead, you need to be able to find a place in yourself. Find that place where you're at peace in yourself. If you sit and you say, La ilaha illallah, you know, you're present, right? Somebody has raised a hand. Tayyib. Yes, Tayyib.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Please do. You come right back. We're finished in 1 minute anyway. And then there's another realm, everybody, where we can be angry, we can be resentful, we can be aggressive, we can be depressed, we can find faults in others all the time, right? And we need very much, you know, to think of other people's values and their dignity and our own. So your mind is constantly going from wanting something to protecting itself to feeling superior to, you know, and then you think, who is doing all this mess up here? Let's say you have a little ball, okay? We're all a little ball and we're beautiful golden hearts. And around us is like this whole globe of all these thoughts, just the thoughts coming in, good thoughts, bad thoughts, envy, you know, laziness, all of that. It's not us, but it's trying to influence us. And then there's another ball over that, our senses. You hear a loud noise. Oh, that's loud. It's horrible. I wish they'd turn down that music. Or, oh, that didn't taste very good. Oh, I just got hurt. So you have all these layers trying to attract you. And then your good, calm, beautiful golden heart is lost in daydreaming, lost in its senses, lost in distractions, lost in envying or all these different things that are happening to us. So what we're trying to do, everybody, is get to that center who we are, and that is the beautiful still pool. It's your consciousness, it's your mind, and we're trying to calm down all the ripples so that we can see truly and see clearly. So I've gone over time, but we've got a basis going, all right? And if you would also, since I know you've already read up to chapter 25, review them and take your workbooks and fill in all the information in your workbooks. It'll help you review things. And sometimes the questions are too hard. I'm the one who wrote the workbooks, and sometimes I go back and realize I can't answer the questions in the workbooks. So answer what you can, and be sure you write down 3 of your good thoughts that you went through on, and 3 of the bad thoughts, 3 of the good thoughts you ignored, all right? And then we're all gonna give away something we actually really, really love, all right? So you're gonna do your workbooks, and then we're gonna start going through together and being honest and talking about these 10 things Imam Al-Ghazali tells us that are destroying us and ruining our golden hearts. So are there any questions, comments, anything else before we say goodbye?
Thank you.
That's sweet, thank you.
Thank you so much. So what we will do, we will have a like parents meeting, hopefully around the workbooks, because, for example, we have 3 workbooks, but we have only 1 book from the book of knowledge. So
Why don't we send you more workbooks?
yeah. I mean,
I mean, we can honestly send you the PDFs and you could print it, but the workbook is so much nicer to have in color.
yes. Each
Just,
student needs to have one workbook, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, everybody does, because, you know, it's so helpful to spend a little time and go over the material and answer some questions. And then if you don't mind, as parents, every chapter has a teacher, a parent in the back, it has a teacher's manual. If you went to that place, each chapter it can relate to a certain hadith or Quranic passage. Those are there for you. And then the other thing is it gives ideas of activities and things that are fun you could do that would help stabilize the idea. And if we're going to do this, we're not just learning about Imam al-Ghazali, everybody. That's just one more subject matter, more data. We are actually using this as a tool, as a support to be true Muslims, to be true people, to be who we are intended to be by God. This is a big deal, by the way. It's the most important thing we can do actually in our whole lives, right? All the other stuff is up for grabs, right? But anyway, so if you want Haldun to, you know, call later or do it online or whatever, we'll make sure Monday we send out all the workbooks you need. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Thank you so much.
I love you, family.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, Azra. How are you? I didn't see many faces. Oh, yeah. There's hello. Oh, yes. Yeah, Shamsuddin didn't speak today. Usually I hear from you.
Bye. Bye, Sister Aisha.
Did you enjoy it, Shamsuddin? Today was good?
I always enjoy your classes, sister.
Thank you so
Because
much.
you're the one. Shamsuddin really helped last time. He saw where I missed that point, you know, that I forget whose child was explaining something and I didn't pick up on it. Now I was so grateful for that, Shamsuddin.
Thank you so much, sister.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're a real family. Look at your beautiful son, mashallah, mashallah.
So much,
So
sister.
anyway, we're doing this together, you know, children and parents. We're one on this. This is not grown-ups and kids. This is reality. So
Yes.
it's really fun, and I'm so glad that you all got in touch. And I couldn't find another teacher to do the class because by
Thank you so
talking
much.
about it, I'm really trying to convince myself to do it, right?
Sister Aisha, it's so valuable for us. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for your time.
We were
And,
watching your other videos, sister, and they didn't know how famous you are. And then I was showing your other speeches. One was in Pakistan, and one was, you know, there were different videos on YouTube. So it was our, how to say, in the United States, it's a common practice when they see some famous face. Oh, okay, so we have one-on-one class with this, and then it's much more valuable. So we missed that part to tell them who you are, like, you know.
thank you.
For a lot.
That's how it functions, sister. Alhamdulillah, you are very humble, but they need to know who you are, and that's why when we say that this Sister Aisha is going everywhere and having speeches and lectures, and you know, and then they take it more, how to say, they take it more serious. Let me put it that way. Alhamdulillah, we enjoy your lessons.
Thank you.
And thank you for spending your
Bless
valuable time with
You
us.
know what? It's just like these little lines. Allah brought us together.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, nobody takes any credit. He knows it could be that there's one sentence I say, which for one of the children does something that's in their lives. We don't know why we're together, but we know either everything kids has meaning, everything, or nothing. It's not meaning sprinkled around haphazardly. So there's meaning in our coming together, you know?
Alhamdulillah. Yes.
So I'm loving being with you, and the kids are great, and you all are fabulous. And I can't wait till
Thank
we're
you.
like when you come down to Kentucky and we have, I don't know what, we sit in my yurt.
I want to tell you one thing, sir. For the videos, you know, I have a friend who is in Pakistan and he edits the videos. So when we spoke last time with Mustafa, he mentioned, you know, to put the keywords that's covered at this specific lesson. So for one of them, I came up So what I will do, I mean, if that's okay with you. So for each session, after we edit, I come up with the videos and I would love to send it to you. And if you could just maybe edit or add, and then, because for each video when we post online, we would like to put also these topics covered. And the second thing is, when you start the lesson, when you end the lesson, especially since the person who edits is in Pakistan, and maybe when you start, like a pause for 5 seconds and then start, and the same thing for end. And inshallah, by this way, we have a clean cut video,
Okay, good.
because these are the Mustafa's suggestions.
Good.
So he is the one who is like professional. We
Yeah.
are just very amateur.
Yeah, he's a filmmaker, you know.
Yeah.
I can't believe, I'm just going to tell you something that's really touching. You know, he went to Cambridge in England, but of course took a year off and between high school and Cambridge and went to India, and then, then he finished Cambridge. He went to a school called SOAS in London, the School of Oriental and African Studies, and he studied international law. And sometimes he worked in law firms like in Cairo or here for summers and so on. And then he started seeing what the life of a lawyer was like, you know, taking the train every day to London, basically dealing with people's money issues, right? Having to work 14 hours a day when you start. And he started to see that this would have been very much for the dunya. It would have exhausted him. And then, of course, his father was a filmmaker and I was originally. And so he started picking up on film, you know, and learning it. And he had many jobs, like he worked for an architectural firm in Stuttgart. We have a friend named Mahmoud or Bodo Rasch, who's a descendant of Charlemagne, a very aristocratic. He was a great architect and a specialist in something called tensile architecture. It's tents and stretch things based on spider webs. Very famous, and he became a Muslim. And he was invited to go down to Jeddah to make a study of the Hajj, you know, and see how the Hajj could be perfected. And he started something called the Hajj Research Center in Jeddah at the university. And he met my husband at the Kaaba, and they went and slept in the Prophet's cave that night, you know, and they've been together forever. And then Mahmoud is so good that when the Saudis wanted to put the tents in Medina that open out, you know, in all the courtyards, at a certain temperature, a pole comes up out of the ground and tents open up. And it's on top of the Kaaba going around. He did all of that. Then Mahmoud, listen to this. He's a German, right? They needed a new Maqam Ibrahim. He's the one who designed it and put it in. Then they have steps that they take up to the Kaaba door so that they go in, people visit occasionally, dignitaries, but they also wash it out, the Kaaba, they wash out inside. And that water he fixed, so it's collected in the stairs, and that water is sometimes used for very special people when they die, you know, to wash them in. And like, so of course, Mustafa has worked on all of these projects. Mahmoud did the extension of the Medina Mosque, a gigantic, beautiful place, because there was not enough room for all the pilgrims. The women's section is gigantic now. And he designed moving domes, because air conditioning is hard. You need to have night air. There's a whole thing. Mustafa worked in Morocco, and he worked on the quality control of some of the beautiful jewels that were put into the dome or whatever. So then Mustafa has been moving around, you know, all over the world, you know, doing all of these things. And the fact that he's decided to take over Franz Vitae for me, and his wife is learning typesetting from Neville, is we're not idiots. I'll be 78 on February 5th. Neville is 82. We think we'll live forever, because we do. The spirit, the real self, the pure self is deathless, right? It can't die. But up here, we think we'll live forever, but we won't. So we're trying to be very objective. So I am so grateful that Allah somehow, my daughter Hadra has never lived in America. She's an American. She loved Egypt. Egypt is her country. She lived there. She was married briefly to an Egyptian. We have a house there. She's totally Egyptian, and she's married to a half Persian, half English. And beautiful daughters, and they live in England. But Mustafa had never lived in America either. You know, the American children that got dumped. You know, he was born in Cairo in 1971, moved with us when we started the Islamic Tech Society in England, and sort of grew up there, you know, in England. He went from first grade all the way through law school. He has a sort of English accent, not really, it's kind of in between. And he, you know, and I never thought he'd come to America, because he's really, all of his friends are in England. It's near Europe. It's near Spain, where he hangs out with his Muslim friends there. He can get to Egypt. So all of a sudden, he got offered this job with this interfaith center to be a filmmaker, and he came over, and he was doing that here. And then he brought the two little babies, Medina, she was like 0, age 2, and Bilal, who are now 7 and 9. And I raised them on the Ghazali here on the floor next to me. They would be drawing their own hearts. Medina couldn't even speak, but I would say, draw your hearts and put dots of what you're doing wrong. They knew it, because kids don't miss a thing. I could hear Bilal saying, now this dot is for not minding mommy. And this dot is for being so loud. You know, they're always telling him, calm down, right? Don't jump on the furniture. So I was realizing these little babies could understand it all. And then now, if I say, oh, Medina, she'll do this, polish her heart. I'm not going to do it. So I realized by starting at the beginning, you really should have started at 3 with your kids, but they're fine. So suddenly, Mustafa, bless his heart, you know, left that job to come and help me, because all the Islamic Tech Society, Fons Vitae, up until 3 or 4 years ago, I never advertised my books, because I'm just do the books, and my cousin Lucy does the business, and then Neville typesets it. But I didn't know how to market anything. I'd finish a book, we'd put it a little on Constant Contact, we'd put it on our website, and just assume that everybody would know it's been done. You know, we used to do most of our books for scholars, because that was what we were. We are an academic charity, but I mean, we never thought of the general Muslim population being interested in the books we publish. And then Mustafa comes here, and of course, he's a kid. You know, he's a 49-year-old baby to me. He's just a child, right? So he's interested in social media. I don't even know what Instagram is, I'll be honest. I do know what Facebook is, but I've never sent all these things he does. Social media, I don't know what it is. So he likes this. So now he spends all day long. He loves the Ghazali Project, because he went with me when we went to South Africa, and we did 16 gatherings in 4 cities. They made a Ghazali festival for the whole country. And he started seeing, God, people really love this stuff. And then we go for, you know, he came with me different places. And then when he was making that film that's on the bottom of my email, he went and saw the friends who were putting it all into Spanish in Spain. And so he started believing in this project. And really, were it not for his efforts in letting it be known, and I let him deal with all the foreign people now, you know, he's the one who set up a book. He got all the children's books to a nice Muslim who has a bookstore in England called Who, and we ship him over everything, because the British can't. How can they afford to buy a Ghazali book and have the post? You know how much the postage is? I mean, we can't. Sending a book to Canada is like nearly not worth it, because the postage is so great, you know? So he works, and he's trying to set up things in India, maybe a Fons Vitae India, on Australia. He's doing all that, but look what Allah has done. He brought him here, you know, and I get to see these grandchildren, you know. I never expected to ever get to be a grandmother. My 2 granddaughters grew up in England, Layla and Sophia, and I thought I had my whole life to do things with them, but I blew it, you know. But so I'm just looking at what Allah is doing, and that Geza, who is a museum interior designer, she lost her job because of COVID here. She was with a company that did the interiors of museums. Well, she's good at typesetting because she knows InDesign, whatever that is. And my husband is teaching her and he's a good teacher. So I'm just watching the thing and I feel that your generation, you all are what, about 49 years old yourself? 45, 47. Mhm. Yeah, you're going to be, you'll be with Mustafa and I will be dead. But you know what? You've got to take all this Fons Vitae and what we're doing and find a way with the media today and the way kids are and what your generation knows and I don't know, to do this as Sadaka Jariya, because this is, I just promise you, this Ghazali project, it's not mine. It just, Allah just figured, there she is. She loves Ghazali. She can get the money. She knows the translators who can do it. She's got the idea. She needs it for herself. She needs it. So it's just Allah having mercy on me, you know? I mean, I'm not a writer. I've never written anything in my life. I mean, the children's life of Muhammad and a few videos, but this project is not ours, you know, it's Allah's. And the fact that it has gone to 14 languages, that we actually have the book of knowledge completely in Urdu now. They put it in 4 volumes. And we are actually going to find a way to print it in America because Pakistanis are getting in touch. They've heard about it and they're saying, look, we've been in America our whole lives. Our children have lost the language. They need to be reconnected to their culture and their language. And I'm doing the same with the Bosnian edition. We trying to find some way to raise the funds. I mean, it's being translated into Bosnian, but I'm thinking about the billions of Bosnians that are here in America. They've lost their language, the children, and their heritage. And so there's a big Bosniak Congress every year in St. Louis. And I know the Imam of Sarajevo. I'm not letting go of the Bosnian one because I worked there in the war and I've been there and I love the Bosnians. So it's so important and that we don't let go. This is an amana from Allah that we've been given, you know. It has nothing to do with us. It's like what I learned from Zakat. This is just on loan to us, and it's being given to us, and we have to live our lives and feed ourselves. But this is something real, you know. So I'm really grateful to have you all to talk to. This is really wonderful, and you fathers are marvelous, and your wives and your children, and this is just the best. So thank Allah for bringing us together for this project.
Yeah,
So
thank you so much. Yes.
Okay.
All right, inshallah. I mean, I'm following up with the one in Turkey. I spoke to my friend many times. I don't know if they have reached you.
They have no money, probably, you know.
Might be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's an Indonesian version, but the Indonesian, there's no, the world is like having financial problems.
Yeah.
You know, so I know the Indonesians, they've translated, there's a group translating it completely into Indonesian. And the Indonesian publishing company feels it doesn't have the money, can't take a chance right now. But you know what? Time will go. I'm just telling everybody, still get it translated because this economic thing will improve at some point, you know. Inshallah, I mean.
Inshallah, yeah.
Or we find another way to do it, you know. So
for the Bosnian ones, I used to live in Florida, and there is very rich Bosnian guy who actually have a patent for a ceramic things he sold to NASA, whatever. He's very an old guy, and he how to say, he wants to find these kind of projects where he can sponsor because he has a lot of money.
Why don't you talk to him?
So that's why I will try to reach out to him, because he built a beautiful mosque, big mosque with a school in there that's in
Oh, how lovely.
And also he is sponsoring St. Augustine. I don't know, have you been there?
Yeah, I've been there.
There are some parks in that like the old neighborhood,
there's a fort by the sea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He's the one who is sponsoring the maintenance of these parks on behalf of her wife, because his wife was from St. Augustine, an American. So
Oh,
this
nice.
Bosnian married to American lady, which she passed away, and now he has these kind of foundations, and kind of he's trying to spend his money into good. Like in his young age, he wasn't so religious, like even though he was a kind of Muslim, but he wasn't kind of very active into this. But now these days he's really trying to do something with his money. So I'll try to reach and see. I don't know if he remembers me, because but I met him once or twice. But he is very good friend with Aras, Dr. Aras. I don't know. Sometimes Mr. Haldun abi, I need to.
I spoke to him yesterday, and I can speak to Arasabi about this. Arasabi was head of the Bosnian congregation here.
Really?
Yeah.
He was the president of these gatherings and all that you mentioned in St. Louis, and he's very well-known face, which we work together at FIBA, Federation of Balkan American Associations. So I think Haldun, we should bring on board Arasabi. He has huge connections, and explain about this Bosnian version of this, and also he's member of these ICNAB, so Bosnian like Islamic Society, which has about 55 mosques connected. So they have this, and all of them they have Sunday schools, and they're very good at it. So that will be a huge gate to open and reach out to these kids, and as you mentioned, try to reconnect them with their identity, with their values, with their religion, which there are now potential. I mean, we need to bring Arasabi on board, and he has a lot of connections, and he knows very well this guy, which he introduced me to him. We had a fundraiser back then for some of the projects, and this guy he helped us. He donated some money. Okay, so let's see. We'll work on Sister.
Tell him this is what we want. I can get the thing translated. I've got a team of Bosnian women. I think one is actually in Florida, and we've gotten together. What can we do? We can get it translated, but then there has to be the funds, because we have the form. We can keep the same pictures. We don't have to start illustrating. We need somebody to pay for the printing, and also ship some of them in Bosnian to Bosnia, because English is not the only language there. People, and I mean, we need to get it. I mean, I'm a member of lots of Bosnian societies like Nahla, all these women's societies, and ship some there for those people, make it, and we could come out with a Bosnian edition that we could print maybe a little more cheaply or expensive. And then, there could be, we just need to do that. We can find either Fons Vitae could remain the publisher, we can still be the publisher, but we need to, we don't have the funds to print it, and get it to people, make it available.
How much is the minimum amount of print? Let's say, is there any amount, let's say 10,000, 5,000?
Well, we printed 8,000 of this one. It cost, the printing was $45,000 because they're really good quality, right? And we ran out. We only have 20 left. So it's being reprinted right now. And when we did the launch good to get the money to do the book of the Hajj book, we had some left over. So we were able to reprint the Book of Knowledge. Can you imagine running out of them? We just discovered we ordered them from the warehouse about 8 days ago. And the good thing about printing in the first quarter, the January to whatever it is, you get a big discount at printing houses, But I mean, all of this, it's just, if he would do this, it's not cheap, but and then it also is going to require some kind of, do we call it marketing? The imams in the various mosques getting to know about it and wanting to do it. There's two levels. I mean, Fons Vitae, we spend not just time preparing all this stuff, but then there's the issue is that most of the Pakistani population thinks it's some kind of Sufi, God knows what. They've all been salafized, and
Yeah.
it's really sad. But now it's in Urdu, and I hope if they read it in Urdu, they'll realize this isn't a big Sufi trip, you know. And that's why in the video on our website, which you could show to this man, you're talking, Mr. Aras,
Yes.
we have people like Hamza Yusuf and Abdul Hakim Winter talking about the importance of Ghazali as a scholar, you know, the wisdom and the whole thing. We're never going to get everybody on board because there are enough people that are mixed up about who Ghazali is, but we have to serve those who aren't mixed up, you know, and hopefully, you know, I mean, to think how many Pakistanis I know here in Louisville, you know, and they got some kind of mental block against Ghazali.
Yes.
And so there always is the marketing aspect to see whether it can be presented in a way to the Bosnian community. Oh, well, I'll tell you the way. Guess what is in the Sarajevo big library? The Ghazali. I went there with the great, there it is, the handwritten thing actually done to, you all have the Ihya Ulumuddin, it's yours, right? So, I mean, the Bosnian, I mean, what you've got, I mean, the devotion to that work, you know, in Sarajevo. I mean, and of course I have all those people like, not just Imam Karic and Karic, you know, all those, you know, muftis and people are friends of mine. They just say there's no money to do it. They all get it, of course, you know, and I met Imam Kenan, yes, I think in Kenan, I think, in when I was in Sarajevo, and he's the one who told me to go to St. Louis. But I mean, if we could also do something the next time COVID is gone and there's something in St. Louis, we could all go together and we could do some kind of presentation, a keynote presentation of it, you know, maybe emphasizing what's in the library, the Husrug Beg library.
Yes.
That way. And so we'll come up with some, where there's a will, there's a way. And if we persist, we'll do it, you know.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
We are on board.
Oh, Lord. Okay. I'm going to go cook lunch for my husband. What else? Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, family.
Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank
The kids are smart, by the way. Your kids are great. Okay.
Thank you.
But
sir.
I mean, Shamsuddin asked me to please involve them more and include them more. But today I was just on a roll to try to explain what we're going to be doing and the importance of it, you know. And now we'll try whenever you want. You can raise your hands and try to find. You all come up with I just say to the kids, would you like to explain how you've just done that in your life or something? Because we've got to get them talking. But I mean, they do the workbooks and do the activities. You know, they're hearing it. I can tell.
Yeah.
They're listening.
Plus, I think like your lessons are for our kids, but they will be more for everyone, like once we post them online.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, like, it's okay, like our kids' involvement, definitely.
Yeah.
But like, it's more important, like the content that you provide to these videos, and inshallah, they will be available to everyone.
Yeah, and they're making videos like the envy, jealousy. Let them go on. Let them develop their filmmaking on subjects like this, which is fun, giving the wrong version and the right version. Let them make sure every one of the things that we address, they make 1 or 2 videos, you know, using their own lifestyle, because children watch those things. They want to be taught by children, not by adults.
Yeah. Inshallah.
Okay.
We will do more, inshallah. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.
Thank you so much. You too. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, all of you.
Alaikum salam.